Welcome back to all our listeners. It's that time of the week again, where we discuss all things FPL on the First 45 podcast, brought to you by Craig and Darren.
Hello, you're listening to the First 45 podcast. Joined with me, as ever, is Craig and Darren. How are you both, guys?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you, Craig?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, my friend. Snow's finally melted at my household, which means I can get my car off my drive, so I'm happy.
Do you know what?
Is it that bad up there then, was
Very
it?
bad up here, this part of the world, absolutely, yeah. It was covered, it was good for the kids, but not for my sanity. I'm glad it's washed away.
It's a bit of a relief for me as well, actually, because as you guys know, doing a bit of a house renovation, I've got absolutely no heating downstairs, so I've been freezing my arse off for the last 2 weeks.
No heating.
No,
oh,
brutal.
My Lord. I bet. Wrapped up, coats inside.
That's right, yeah.
A proper Netflix and chill, that is, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah, probably been curling up with a dog then. Yeah.
Oh, Max. When's he going to bark today on the pod?
Well, we're expecting a new washing machine in the next couple of hours, so you'll soon know if it turns up, because he'll be going apeshit, I'd have thought.
I bet.
Right, should we crack on with finding out how you got on this week, guys? I've made a note here straight away. It's 3 red arrows in a row for you, Daz, so perhaps you want to talk about your game week first.
Wow. Well, actually, I'm going to call it a bit of a grey arrow this week, because I've moved from 16k to 17, so that's not too bad. I'm going with a grey arrow. I'm keeping optimistic there.
Giving you a red, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the week's not over yet, is it? In fairness, still a couple of games to go. So.
No, yeah, it's not been too bad a week. I had Gundo captain, so that obviously paid off. Not too hopeful in playing the next game, but yeah, we'll see. I've got Antonio last night didn't play. Sonny's coming in for him just for 2 points, and then Pope, Diaz, Stones, and Digne still to play. So I've still got a few players to come.
Daz's team there, I suspect you probably just about get away with that grey arrow, mate, or certainly a green, I reckon, with that amount of players left. I don't think across the board people, the average FPL player will have more than 2 or 3 players remaining. So I think you'll be okay. Me, 198k to 155k, I guess largely in part to Loughton's goal that he got
Heroics.
in the Burnley game, which, yeah, absolutely. Again, folklore stuff within a double game week, getting a goal when you've basically only ever had 2 shots in your entire career. So, yeah, we've lucked out there, us owners. And I can see Joe's little smirky grin there on the video. He's obviously owns him too. So, yeah, a rise for me. I've got Pope to go, Loughton, Diaz, hopefully he will play as he missed out the last one, Stonesy and Digne as well. So quite similar to you, Daz. So again, I don't foresee that I'll be not getting a green arrow. I've got Gundo and captain as well, so very happy about that. But I don't think he's going to play. I think Pep's come out this afternoon saying that he doesn't suspect he'll play. So I think...
Put him down for 90 minutes then.
We'll be rubbing their hands together. Yeah, well, yeah. Very true. Yeah. Absolutely. Anything Pep says, it will be the opposite.
It was funny, actually, Craig, on Loughton. I know Saturday morning we spoke. I know you still a few decisions to be made on your transfers. And as we spoke, you said you were kind of between me and Tarkowski. And I logged on that afternoon to see who you went for. Bloody Loughton in there.
It wasn't me. That wasn't me. I've had Loughton. It wasn't me. So I forwarded on a message from Utkush. He actually referenced the fact that he was going to make a move. So I actually forwarded a message. If you look at your WhatsApp, it wasn't me typing. It's a forwarded message.
Oh,
so it wasn't me.
Okay.
No pun intended. I actually already had Loughton. I made that Loughton move a couple of weeks ago when you gave me a lot of jibbins for it, saying, why on earth would you make a -4? Do you remember now?
Oh, right,
why
yeah.
Why would you make a -4 and bring Pope and
Loughton? That one.
You gave me a bit of stick in the old WhatsApp group, so it's come good.
It has come good for you, mate.
It
has come good.
Yeah, it wasn't looking great, was it? Let's be honest. So there we have it.
Cool. Let's move on then to double game week 25. It's got a big double game week coming up. Perhaps we should start off by talking about the sort of 2 standout teams there that might be featuring with double game weeks, and that's Leeds and Southampton. Craig, perhaps you want to talk us through your thoughts around that firstly.
Yeah, I think there's definitely standouts here that most will be aware of. What with Bamford, Rafinha, Dallas at Leeds, and then some standouts for Saints would be Ings, Armstrong, Vestergaard. maybe McCarthy as well, but again, his place could be a little bit in doubt. What with Forster playing pretty well in the Cup, I expect Forster to come in at some point as Southampton take the Cup a little bit more seriously. So I think there's some players there that we all know about. I think from my side of things, I actually really like Rafinha. I'm debating whether or not to captain him over the double, so I'm definitely bringing them in. I don't own them at the moment, but I'm bringing both Rafinha and Bamford in, and I don't want to make early moves, but I'm going to be priced out a little bit of my subsequent moves for game week 26. So I know it's not wise play to bring them in early, and we should really be waiting to the end of the week because I could have some injuries, and therefore I might change the players I take out. But I'm looking at taking out Antonio and Souček for Bamford and Rafinha, and I might even do it tonight if I look like they're going to change price, because I literally need every penny I can for my plan going into double game week 26 as well, where I'm not obviously going to be playing a wild card. So I like Rafinha and Bamford, most likely to be my moves this week. From a Southampton perspective, I guess we just don't know what we're going to get out of Southampton at the moment, but Ings is definitely the standout for me. What about you, Darren? What are you thinking on those two teams?
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually already a Bamford owner, so I've got more of an eye on the Southampton assets. I know a lot of fellow fans are very worried about our current form. There's a lot of talk of us getting dragged into a relegation battle. I was speaking to Joey before we press record, and I think he's one of them. He's thinking about sticking a bit of money down on us to get sucked into a relegation battle. But actually, I'm a little bit more optimistic. You think back to early season, and I just know there's a team in there somewhere. We are a good side, and I've seen enough in that Wolves Cup game and the first half performance last week in the Premier League to make me interested again in the Saints boys, especially with, I think, at least 2 double game weeks in the next 3, and possibly even 3. We could see double game weeks in 25, 26 and 27. So obviously we need to keep an eye out for the fixture announcements. But certainly if it is 3, I'm almost certain to sign Danny Ings and possibly one other as well.
That's nice. Yeah, I haven't really given too much consideration to the Southampton lot, I have to say. I guess it's the pessimistic fan in me a little bit, watching us recently. I don't want to lean towards them. I mean, Leeds for me are the standout, and of course we only have a limited amount of transfers. And I do like the fact that Leeds also have the fixture in game week 29 as well. And I'm not one that's going to be wild carding before 29. I'll be likely wild carding just after, maybe in game week 30. So I'm likely to dead end my squad, bring the players in. I suspect I might carry over the Leeds boys, to be honest, because they're just so good from an attacking and FPL perspective. But I haven't really given too much thought to the Southampton boys. But it's interesting that you referenced the fact that they've also got potentially doubles in 27 and 28 as well. I was just looking at that, and the potential doubles for Southampton are Sheffield United away, and then probably Man City or Spurs if it is in game week 27. So the second game there, not great, but Sheffield United away, got to be something on the table. And then, of course, if the Tottenham game doesn't go into game week 27, then there's a chance that Brighton and Hove Albion at home in 28 with Tottenham away. So
yeah, they're not.
Danny Ings has had some.
Sorry, mate. They're not as you say, they're not the tastiest of looking fixtures, but Ings is the one I've definitely got my eye on there, because as we've seen previously in other seasons and early season, he can score against any side. He's such a clinical finisher. 8 goals already this season and 3 assists in restricted minutes because of injuries. So yeah.
I do agree with that. Talisman for Southampton, without a shadow of a doubt. Outside of Ward-Prowse, who's on some of the set pieces, I mean, Ings is your man. He gets the goal, he gets the bonus points. He's very much like Raul Jimenez from a couple of seasons ago, and I hope he's getting on all right recently. I've seen him obviously on the sidelines. I don't know too much about that, but yeah, Jimenez is just your absolute bonus magnet like Ingsy boy, and he gets a goal, he gets 9 points. That's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? Just a goal and you get 9 points. Absolutely laughing.
Yeah. Outside of Ings, any other Saints assets you might be considering? Vestergaard's one for me.
Yeah, for sure. I like Vestergaard at 4.7. I think he carries a lot of aerial threat, as we've seen this season. He's an improving player, and definitely a confidence player as well. I've seen him play a lot better this season, and again, he's really, really been one to up it. So if I had a luxury move, or if I was on wildcard actually, because many will be on wildcard in 25 and there's going to be people in 26, I would actually consider Vestergaard.
Yeah, he
would be my go-to defender, and KWP's injured now. He'd have been my other one, same price, both 4.7 million, perhaps has a less goal threat, but he's again player that's an ever-present at that right-back position.
Yeah.
And that's just what concerns me a little bit. If KWP's out, and we've still got a few injuries, and it just concerns me a little bit with Southampton. I'm almost like a steer clear. I think it's almost an Ings or nothing for me. JWP offers something else as well from set pieces, but I don't see me considering anyone else other than Ings.
Yeah, as I said,
what about you?
Yeah, Vestergaard is someone I am considering because if I do go for Ings, it's probably going to be at the expense of Shea Adams, who I think he might have lost his place in the side now. Seen Redmond have a bit of a run up top, so in order to fund that move, I'm probably going to look to shift Robertson. Obviously, no faith in Liverpool defence right now, so Vestergaard's somebody who could fill that spot for me. Particularly, as I say, I'm waiting on the fixture announcements. If we do get 2, possibly 3 doubles in the next 3, then that Ward-Prowse delivery, you've always got that chance of a goal at the other end, as well as the unlikely clean sheets. So he's probably the standout for me.
Yeah, I agree, and he's absolutely nailed on for me at the moment. I know Salisu came in and started playing a little bit. I thought he was a little bit rusty in the cup game, but there was definitely promise there. But I think Vestergaard's absolutely nailed for anyone that was considering whether or not he would be nailed with Salisu and Bednarak in there. I think he's absolutely nailed. I think Jack Stevens, unfortunately, has probably moved down to 4th in the pecking order.
Yeah, we've already missed Vestergaard. I was looking again before we recorded, 7th in the table when he got injured in game week 14, and only 5 points in the 9 games since then. So it just goes to show what a massive miss he's been.
Yeah, and there's been comparisons to Van Dijk, and of course we don't want to get carried away with ourselves, but he was the player to come in to try and replace Van Dijk, and there's been parts of his game that's just looked so assured at the back. He's looked brilliant from a physical presence in terms of mopping up, again, aerial balls, but also being really good in the challenge, really forward thinking as well. When he gets the ball, he really does drive the team forwards, and I think we've missed that massively. Like, we do not have that. And when I look at the good teams in the league, or certainly the ones that are on form, let's think City, they've got Stones and Diaz that play out the back, and they can move forward and drive the team to good things. And we've really missed that with not having Vestergaard in the place there, and having, Bednarak and Stevens just not been good enough.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's been a revelation this season.
So, looking at Saints, their next opponent is Chelsea. They've been a team which have been a very interesting prospect from a fantasy perspective since Frank Lampard's departure and Thomas Tuchel's takeover of management affairs. Perhaps you want to give us your thoughts on those guys and what you're seeing now with perhaps a change in lineup and what your views are on that.
Yeah, as you say, there's been a lot of lineup changes from Thomas Tuchel, and it's very hard to nail down any assets that we can rely on, isn't there? I think Rudiger's probably the standout. One thing I would say, as good as they have been defensively, I wonder, have they really been tested yet? You look at their opponents since he's come in: Wolves, Burnley, Spurs, Sheffield United, and Newcastle. I think they're predominantly defensive-minded teams. And one thing you can say about Southampton this coming week is we will throw punches. I think we will have a go at them. So it's going to be a good test. It's going to be good to see what they can come up with Kepa in goal, Alonso at left back or left wing back. I'd like to think we might cause them a little bit more trouble.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. We've got some good whippets, haven't we, on the old lines there? You can think Djenepo can come in, Redmond. We've got a few lads that can cause some damage, and I really like Armstrong. I mean, again, one of the most underrated players in the Premier League for me, certainly at Southampton. I mean, if you're a Southampton fan, you know about Armstrong, but he doesn't really get the plaudits, and we didn't really reference him too much when we were just talking about Leeds and Southampton there, but he's someone that's always looking to create something, and he can score as well. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Chelsea will be tested by Southampton this week, particularly if they put Kepa in goal. As you say, you just never know what you're quite going to get there. And actually, even with Alonso, of course, he's on his day, he's unbelievable, and he's almost unplayable going forward, and is causing all sorts of nuisances in the box all the time. But defensively, he's always been suspect.
Would you consider any of the Chelsea assets at the moment, Craig?
Yes, I probably would actually, interestingly, look at Alonso at this current moment in time. And while, as Darren says, we haven't really seen Chelsea be tested at the back at the moment, when I looked at some numbers earlier, I was quite interested to see that Alonso compares very favourably against the likes of João Cancelo, which I think's, he's probably been the best defender in the league this year, Cancelo. So when you consider that Chelsea's expected clean sheets in, I think it's the last 5 games in terms of the numbers that I crunched out here, were 0.53 a game versus Cancelo's 0.66. And we know that City have been the best team in the league and have looked like keeping clean sheets every week. That stacks up quite favourably. But also, Alonso's expected FPL score has been 5.88 points per game versus Cancelo's 5.26. Now, this is per game, so this is averaged out as well. And when we look at goal threat, Alonso expected goals per game is 0.14, Cancelo's is 0.07. And interestingly enough, considering that we know how good Cancelo is at whipping balls in, and he's kind of taken the mantle a little bit from the absence of KDB by whipping balls in and creating things from the right-hand side, expected assists for Alonso over the last 5 games on average is 0.15 per game versus Cancelo 0.07. So he's definitely someone that I'm actually eyeing up, to be honest, as a differential moving forward.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting numbers there. I mean, I guess the big thing with Alonso is just if you trust him to keep that spot, isn't it? I mean, at the moment it's looking great, but definitely something to keep an eye on. For me, Chilwell's just a better player. I mean, I just... I can't understand how
knowing that it's not Emerson anymore, it's Chilwell, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, Emerson, good player. I like him, but when you've got Ben Chilwell waiting in the wings, it doesn't fill you with too much confidence, does it? Particularly when you're investing 5.7 for Alonso as well.
Yeah, we've seen him rotate a lot of players as well, as we touched on earlier. Even the goalkeeper's been swapped around, so I think he's potentially just given everyone a fair crack at the whip and seeing what they've got to offer. But I mean, if Alonso can nail down that spot, then as you say, as we've seen in previous seasons, from an attacking perspective, he's FPL gold, isn't he?
He is the FPL gold. I think at the moment, though, the sensible play, probably, if you want to sneak some cheap points, is 4.6 million Rudiger, isn't it, at the moment? Agreed. I mean, that's probably the most desirable move if you're looking at Chelsea, all things considered. He looks nailed.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that German affinity there with Thomas Tuchel. He literally he was out in the cold. Thomas turns up and straight in. So, yeah, I think if you're going to go anywhere and you're on wildcard, I mean, Rudiger would be in for me if I was playing my game week 25 or game week 26 wildcard, 100%.
Would you go for any of the attacking assets at Chelsea at the moment?
Do you know what? That's an interesting point as well, right? So actually, I had to look at some numbers again, and I was looking at Werner because, again, I'm a big fan, and I know at the beginning of the season we were having a little chat about this in our WhatsApp group. Werner was in my game week 1 side. I know you didn't have him, Daz, and there was a bit of, I'm not sure about that, asset coming in from another league. Is he going to do it? I've been a big fan of Werner for a long time, and I think sometimes you can go heart over head, and perhaps it was the heart speaking a little bit, but he's looked like every bit of a player that would make it in the Premier League. Perhaps he hasn't quite adapted as we would have thought, but he's got, he's just really quick. He plays on the last shoulder. He gets in, but I think he's perhaps looked a little bit erratic at times. But it's funny because, when you consider his price point of 9.2 million and someone like Kane, who's 11 million, so again, economies of scale here, if you actually take the consideration of Kane being, almost 2 million more than Werner, so, 15-20% more or whatever that works out to, then you can expect maybe 15-20% points less than Kane. I've looked at, again, the numbers, and the numbers aren't bad. So again, over the last 6 game weeks, where they've both played, Werner's played 6 games, Kane's played 5 of those games respectively. And you look at the numbers, and again, the expected goals there for Werner is 0.41 a game versus Kane's 0.35. We know what Kane can do. Again, he turns it on a sixpence and doesn't need too many shots and gets goals. So the numbers are pretty similar. And then again, points-wise, not quite the same, but Werner's is expected, it is 4.17 points per game versus Kane's 5.6. So again, he's another player that I actually would be interested in personally. I know it's a bit of Marmite as a player, but I really want him in, but I just don't feel like, I think you just can't fit him in at the moment with the blank game week coming up and things like that. What do you think about Werner, Daz? I know you weren't his biggest fan at the start of the season.
Well, we've all seen what he can do, what he did in the Bundesliga rather, and you can't knock that. Absolutely fantastic, but we just see it so often when these players come over. It's the adaptation, isn't it? How they adapt and to the Premier League can be completely different. I think
fully, has he?
I think at some point, either this season or next season, he's going to be a very popular FPL asset. But I just don't think that time is right now. Even you look at the potential double game week in 26, Man United away, Liverpool home. I just think there's other assets around.
That's the problem.
I just don't think it's time for Werner right now.
That is the problem. I agree with that completely. It's one of those, isn't it, where you want to consider him, but there's just no place for him at the moment, unfortunately. But if you're looking to take a punt, I mean, we're in quite good positions. You're in a great position. I'm in 150k. I'm very happy with that, and that's a position where you can push on and get into a very good finish come the end of the season with chips left, etc. But if I was outside of the top 500k or around the 1 million mark, I would be making some of these gambles. Someone like Timo would be coming into my team just to try and, and
Alonso as well. Alonso's
got to try
another
and do something. And Alonso, got to try and make something happen, right?
Yeah,
they've got not too bad run of fixtures. They've got doubles. You've got to make something out. You cannot just have 8 of the same players as these other managers that are in that top 500k.
Cool. I'm going to move us on. We've obviously touched on double game weeks coming up in the future. Perhaps we should turn our attention to what is going to be the next one, which is double game week 26 after 25 this coming week. We're obviously recording this on a Tuesday today, so we're waiting on some fixtures to be announced and confirmed. But based on your thinking right now and where we are, what are your thoughts for that game week, Craig?
Yeah, so I'm not going to play my wild card. So for anyone that is not playing their wild card, then this is listen in. I mean, I'm bringing the Leeds lads in. And then for me, I'm likely to bring in 2 Spurs lads come 26. I've got no one at the moment. Oh, no Spurs, right? But they for me, have the most plum fixtures in game week 26. When you look at it, there's captaincy options there. You've got Spurs are up against Burnley at home and potentially Fulham away or Southampton at home. So again, good fixtures for me. Now, I know Burnley can play pretty tight. Fulham will look good. Again, Southampton can cause disruption, but I think if they're both home fixtures as well, if they're Burnley at home and Southampton at home, then again, 2 players that I would like to bring in. And I think, again, going forward, it's more thinking about, actually, if I bring in those Spurs lads or bring in at least one like Kane, you've got them playing in game week 29, so it gives you something. And if you haven't got the free hit, then you've got to be thinking a little bit ahead, otherwise you're going to end up with 4 or 5 players in game week 29 and be a bit of trouble. I mean, outside of that, that's my moves, not playing wildcard. But if I was on wildcard, and I know plenty are on wildcard, whether they are now or whether they're going to do it in game week 26, the way I would structure my team was I'd be looking to target, well, obviously City, that goes without saying. Maybe there's a case of moving away from the defenders now and considering Sterling and Gundogan. And the reason why I say that is because then you've got the easy move to KDB, same price point. Sterling, as soon as KDB back, he's obviously, he's on his way back. He's training, but he's not ready yet. But he's going to be ready. And of course, you don't want to be behind the guys that are playing wild cards later on. So I'd have almost those 2 in place so I can bring KDB in. I like to see how KDB and Gundogan get on together, and I think they're going to both be value. So I'd have 3 City lads, and also I would look at 2 Spurs assets as well. As I said, Son and Kane are the obvious ones, but again, I quite like get his name right, Reguilon. It's like a tongue twister, isn't it? Reguilon. My best Spanish there. That's maybe an option, but he's not back fully fit yet. Don't know when he's back, so you probably can't really go there. So it's Son and Kane for me. Then I would look at Villa again because of the fixtures and the blank game week 29. Obviously got a game. So at the moment I've got Martinez and Watkins, and I would imagine quite a lot of people own 1 or 2 assets from Villa. But is it the time to have Martinez or a Consa target? If you can't afford Martinez, you kind of cover the Martinez there with a defender, and then look at Grealish and Watkins, because we know again they're both consistent assets and they have a game in 29. So that's something that I would consider. Everton actually have quite a good double game week. If I look at who they've got potentially, they've got Southampton at home and maybe Villa or West Brom away. So I think they're being slept on a little bit, and DCL might even play on Wednesday. We'll wait and see. Obviously, when this pod's being listened to, some people might have already realised he's played. And yeah, they've got Liverpool next in 25, but you can always bench him. But the fact that he's got those games is interesting. But I find it difficult because if you go for Kane, people are likely to maybe, not have the space for DCL because they want Watkins, they want Bamford. It's hard at the moment, but I think Everton will be slept on a little bit. It's really hard, isn't it? I mean, Digne is probably likely to stay for me in my team, so I think, have 1 or 2 Everton assets. James Rodriguez, Digne, I'm thinking these types of players from a wild card because, again, the double looks good. And with Everton, they've also got the potential. It's slim, but they've got the potential of another double game week in 27 and 28 as well. And the one in 28 is potentially very mouth-watering if the one of the games doesn't happen in 26, because they could have Burnley at home in 28 and then Villa away or West Brom away. So again, Everton, got to be looking at them, 1 or 2 assets there, I would say.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea, we've talked about, probably would have someone from there, and I would still keep Salah. I would not have him. So, I'm thinking 1 times Liverpool, 1 or 2 Chelsea, 1 or 2 Everton, 2 or 3 Villa, 2 Spurs, 3 City. That's about 12 or 13 players there. I think that's probably a good base point.
What are you doing with Bruno then, Craigo? What would you be doing with Bruno on a wild card? Are you thinking kind of use the funds there for Kane?
I'll keep him. Yeah, I haven't referenced man. Yeah, I think the reason why I haven't even put it in there is, for me, that's just a no-brainer. That's a season keeper. So it's a great point that you bring it up, because I haven't referenced any United there, which obviously probably takes that total to 13, 14 if you bring him in. I mean, he just doesn't go anywhere for me.
So
I've got Rashford at the moment. He'd be gone.
This is a big dilemma for me. I'm looking at these 26 double game week fixtures, and obviously, as you say, Spurs are the standout team really there. And as a non-Kane owner, I'm thinking, how can I get to Kane? And for me, I'm going to have to sell either Bruno or Salah, and I'm just not sure I want to do that. I mean, I've already got Sonny, so it might be a case of just rolling with Sonny, and if I decide against the Bruno or Salah sale. Go on, mate.
That's tough for you. No, this is where I was thinking, just in my head there. You are a successful manager, and you've obviously got some fantastic ranks, and obviously the record that you've got, because you're very patient. But this is where that extra value helps out a lot. So I can have Kane, Son, Bruno, Salah, like no problem.
Yeah.
And it's just because I've got a couple more million than you. I think my team value is probably 106 odd, and yours was probably 104.
Yeah.
And that's just our different styles, and that's now where you've got a thinking to do. But, I would take your rank over mine all day long. I mean, to be fair, if you have to sacrifice Kane over Son and still be around 15k versus 150k, then, you're in the right place. But it's hard, isn't it, when you have to make those decisions? Because, to be honest, who to sell out of Bruno or Salah? At this moment in time, mate, and we always say it on this pod, we all love Salah. I would never take him out, but at this moment in time, I'd keep Bruno. I'd sell Salah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and that's if, and it is a big if, I decide to sell either of those guys. I mean, it's just them fixtures for Kane, isn't it? And especially with the triple captainship remaining for me, I do feel like I might need to get Kane in, but outside of Kane, for me, obviously waiting on the fixture announcements to dictate the strategy, but same as you, Villa assets very likely to be on my radar. Possibly 2 double game weeks before playing in 29 as well. So the likes of Watkins, Grealish, obviously Martinez, all players I'm definitely going to be considering for game week 26.
And just before we finish there, because I'd be interested even to know myself, if you can't get Kane in, do you still play? Because I'm playing bench boost in 26. Again, I've not played bench boost yet. I'll play bench boost. I'll probably bench boost and have the 3 Leeds lads. So I'll probably have Dallas, Rafinha, and Bamford. But they're at home to Villa, so I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. I feel like that could be quite a high scoring game. And I'd have Martinez potentially as well on the bench there, and he has a double, so that's okay. For you, someone that's perhaps still got the triple captainship. And probably going to play it in that double. It's a big double. I mean, there is going to be more doubles, but again, there's uncertainty. And when you get the certainty, you probably want to capitalise on it. But again, if Spurs do have those fixtures, those 2 plum home ties, I mean, are you going to triple captain Son if you can't get Kane in?
I think I probably will, yeah. You've also got the City fixtures there, haven't you? But it's the rotation risk, as we know, with City. So I think Spurs is definitely where the attention's going to be for the triple captainers.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned City, because City's potential double game week is West Ham United at home, Wolves or Southampton at home.
Yeah.
So they're both home fixtures again.
Yeah.
Sterling triple captain.
Gundo.
Yeah, Gundo. Yeah, I mean, obviously, apparently, his injury. Just so you're aware, I mean, again, people will know more about this in a few days' time, anyway. But Pep came out today and said it's not serious, but he thinks he won't make it tomorrow. So again, it's a think. He's throwing a think in there. You never know, he might play, but there's a chance that he doesn't play. But he's okay. So you're right. I mean, come 26, Gundo should still be okay. And if KDB's back, that really does add all sorts of flavour to the mix, doesn't it?
Yes.
Me. Imagine KDB against Southampton and not Southampton. Sorry, God, I tell you what, I'm absorbed by Ben Crellin's table. All I can see is colours and and abbreviations of teams. You literally just lose yourself, don't you?
So when you close your eyes in bed at night, and all you can see is blue, oranges, and greens.
That's all I see. I just see the gold brown. I see the gold brown when I'm going to sleep. It's not a good colour. It's not a good colour.
It's interesting.
Is it brown, is it gold? I've seen that on Twitter.
It's interesting, actually. You mentioned the wild card as maybe shifting the City defence to the midfielders, because as you say, right now, there's no way you can take Gundo out for KDB, is there?
No way. No,
you just
way.
have to ignore him.
Can't do it. So, but you also, then I've seen people get burnt by that, and people, and again, it pains me. I see it time and time again with Salahs and KDBs, and people try to do a move that is similar. They try to have someone that can, Gundo will, he'll basically replicate what this. No, it doesn't work like that. KDB on his day will go and get a 17-point, haul, and Gundo might only get 3 points, and then you're miles off. Those are the big swings. And if it happens a couple of times in a row, you lose ground significantly. So again, you're not going to see that upside from the defenders. Now I know Cancelo's got it in him. I don't think Stones had that miracle game week double where he got 28, 30 points. It's a freak incident. Doesn't happen regularly. More often than not, his average points per game would be around the 5-7 mark, right?
Yeah.
So I think the KDBs and Gundos. If I'm a wild card right now, which I'm not, I'm telling you 100%, I would ensure that I've got something in place to make sure I can cover Gundo and KDB. And then we can worry about it later. KDB goes quiet or Gundo goes quiet. At least you can move to one of the other assets, particularly in your position, Daz, where you might have to lose Bruno or Salah.
Yeah, I think you make a good point.
Cool. So, touched on game week 26 there. Do we want to very quickly touch on the blank game week? I know you've referenced that you were going to try and keep some assets in, but what is your plans for the blank game week in 29? Daz, what do you want to say about that one?
Yeah, so for me, obviously no free hit. I'm going to be holding on to Areola as my sub goalkeeper for a little while because I've just got him there ready for 29 really, and I've got Bamford, a player I'm definitely happy to keep throughout the run to get to 29, and then outside of that, I'm probably going to keep one or at least one of my West Ham assets just benched in the upcoming weeks, ready for 29, and then it's going to be very reliant on Villa and Spurs, as we've just spoken about, really, hoping to get maybe 6, 7, possibly 8 players in for that blank 29. I think the Spurs-Villa game is a bit of a saving grace for everyone there. At least it provides some good assets for us to get in.
The Spurs-Villa game is a saving grace, particularly for those that have lost their free hit. The pause. I'll go.
What do you want to say on that? That's right. We can move on from that.
No, absolutely. I've got a few things to say. Thank you very much.
You've never run out of things to say, have you, Craig? Come on.
Absolutely not, mate. Absolutely not.
Go on.
So, in regards to the 29, that's where Daz and I are a little bit different. Now, I have the free hit, but I'm not going to play it because I think you can get enough. I think you can do enough. And there's not enough there. There's not enough upside for me. There's no Uniteds, Liverpools, Chelsea's, City's playing. I'm not interested in it. I'd rather be able to just, float by, come out with it with a 10-point above the average or a 15-point below the average. Doesn't bother me. Either way, I'll just get through the week. And I think you can get through it easily. Like, people are going to have at least 2 Leeds boys, right? I reckon, in my opinion. They're going to have 1 or 2 Spurs lads. They're going to have 2 Villa lads. Already there's 5 or 6 players there. So, I think that's a given. Whether you're on wild card or you're not on wild card, everyone's got 5 or 6 right now that they're probably going to have. And actually probably more if people don't move away from the West Ham assets. I mean, I have to do it because I want to bring in the Leeds lads. So I'm going to lose Souček. I'm going to lose Antonio. But they've got a game. And they're at home to Arsenal and anything can happen there. So, again, people are going to have 6, 7 assets already, and you can just do things around it. So, for me, I think it's easy to play it with the teams that you've got. West Ham assets, Leeds assets, Spurs assets, Villa assets. Target those 4 teams, job done.
Yeah, I like that play.
Brilliant. Shall we move on to community questions?
Yes, please.
I'm going to try and go through these. So these are questions that have come in every week on our Twitter account at First45Pod. So ask us your questions every week. We'll try our best to answer them and give you some of the insights from the minds of Craig and Darren. So the first question is from @commentator FPL, who has asked, who is the best captaincy option for double game week 25? Ings as a differential or Bamf with his effective ownership? Daz, perhaps you want to start us off with your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because effective ownership is something that comes up a lot, and for me it's never a consideration. To me, you just captain the player you think will score you the most points, and that's end of story really. And for me that week, that player's Danny Ings, so I'll go for Danny Ings though.
Craigo, you got any thoughts on that one?
Like it. It's thrown me back a little bit, that has, to be honest, because while I may consider effective ownership a little bit more than Daz, I agree completely. You play your own game. Who you want or who you feel is going to do it, just do it. I don't worry about all those numbers or stats. Yeah, sometimes you need to weigh that up, particularly if you're in a position of comfort. If you're 100 points ahead in your mini league, or you are 10th in the world, you might want to be a little bit more conservative. You might want to play the numbers a little bit. But to be honest, if you're not in those positions, then just play your own game and just go with it. And for me, it's Bamford, so it's completely different to Daz on this one. I'm likely to captain Bamford or Rafinha, so we'll see. I'd like if Dazza does bring Ings in, I'd like to see him obviously put the captaincy there if he's really feeling strongly about it. Because again, sometimes you just got to go. With your gut.
I'm getting it, mate.
You can read all about the numbers.
I think that's my move this week. Ings captain.
I like it. And do you know what? It's every reason that will come off, because he's Saints ain't played bad. They've not played bad at all. There's been some terrible VAR decisions. Terrible decisions. The one that we've just seen. Oh,
we were cruising, weren't we? We were cruising that first half, and then the momentum just totally shifted.
That's it. Absolutely cruising. We looked like the team that were opened up in those early game weeks where we were obviously, getting 2 points per average every game. We were up there, top of the league in game week 8 or whatever it was. That's what we looked like. And then, of course, 1-0 up. There's a decision there to be had with regards to the handball. We don't get it. That would have made it 2-0, potentially, right? And then they get the handball, which is a very similar incident. 1-1.
Yeah.
Game changer for me.
Yeah, for this coming week, I just quite like the look of them fixtures, actually. I know Chelsea at home on paper is not great, but I think we're going to cause them a few problems. And then Leeds away, Leeds will always give you a chance. And Danny Ings, if you give him a chance, more often than not, he's going to find the back of the net.
There is, without a doubt, 15 points there. There is, without a doubt. But it's the same for Bamford, I think. So I think it's a coin toss, for sure. I think you can go one way or the other. And to be honest, if Bamford goes and gets 15 points, or Ings does, and the other goes and get anything, or vice versa, it's one of those, isn't it? Just, I think, go with your gut on this one.
Moving on to the next question. Wannabe Cool Guy asks, who are the best low ownership differentials until now and the end of the season? Craig, I can see that you've put some thoughts down here, so perhaps you want to articulate what you're thinking.
Yeah, Rudiger for me over Alonso. I mean, look, Rudiger and Alonso, both 3.2% owned. Ooh, fantastic. You're going to see some upside out of that, and they're going to play well. Thomas Tuchel is a fantastic manager. He's going to get that team ticking. We've seen it already, obviously, and as you said, Daz, they haven't been tested because they've not played fantastic opposition. But I just feel like he's got the tactical nous where he'll do things, Tuchel, and he'll just switch things up. It just tricks people. I've seen it in his BVB days. He really does mix it up, and that's how he can get close to getting titles and things in tough leagues like that. So, yeah, for me, I like both of them. Rafinha is 3.6% owned. I couldn't believe it. Then he fell off my seat. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. When he's 5.3 million, I mean, I'm bringing him in. I'm sure most people will be, but there'll be people that don't or that haven't got the move. I mean, for me, if you're listening to this is one of those ones where I say, get him in. 5.3 million, 3.6% owned. Everything is going through him at the moment on that right-hand side outside of Bamford. He's direct, he takes shots, he's skillful, he's getting into positions. And for me, he'll be a mainstay until the end now. Now I've lost Souček. He's someone that will come in and will play a lot of my games. And outside of that, a couple of fruity ones. You've got Madja at Fulham. So for anyone that obviously watched the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, there's been a lot of people talking about him. Little cult hero there. But yeah, just turned over Everton. Looked decent, to be fair. He'll get chances. I think he'll get goals. He's exactly what Fulham have been looking for. They've been looking for someone that can get the ball in the back of the net because they've been doing everything else right. I think older Scotty boy's doing all right down there. I think he's getting the boys playing well. And I think everyone's behind them. I want to see them stay up, to be honest. I don't want it to be at the expense of Southampton, but there's other teams down there, and I really would like to see Fulham turn it around. I think if they win their game in hand, they go 4 points behind Newcastle, so they're not dead and buried, and maybe Madja's the one to turn things around. 5.5 million, and then we've got Aubameyang, and he's just shown that he can turn up. I mean, inconsistent, very fruity pick. Won't pick him myself, but certainly something or someone, should I say, to consider at 6.6% owned. Explosive on his day, 20 points this last game week. So for me, yeah, there's interest there. But let's see how Arsenal get on. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I can only echo your thoughts there, really. Rudiger and Rafinha, definitely the standouts. Rafinha, he's a brilliant player. Double game week coming up. What's not to like, really? 3.6%. I think that's going to see a massive increase over the next few weeks. Aubameyang, not sure about that one, Craig. I think he's
Well, 6.6%.
I just think
But is it even that? Is it really 6.6% of like
That's
active
gotta be-
owners?
that's
and
gotta
active
be
It won't be
players?
active. That's on the. Yeah, it'd be a lot of dead
It's got to
teams.
be a lot of dead.
I think he's someone to keep an
Whilst
eye
you're talking,
on.
I'll pull it up on Fantasy Football Fix. Hang on.
I think he's maybe someone to keep an eye on after game week 31, 32. I think there could be a fixture swing there where we might look back to Auber, but right now, no one's signing Auber.
Auber. I love it. That Auber. Is it not Alba?
I don't know.
I like Auber.
I would say it's Alba.
I remember Jay Egerstoff referring to him as Auber. And I think he got a bit of grinning for it as well. Got to be a Aubameyang or Alba, innit? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I only call him a Aubameyang.
All I know is he ain't getting nowhere near my team right now.
Appreciate it. Right, let's have a little look then quickly at the data here. Let's remove the dead teams. 38.2% dead teams, boys. You believe it? That's a lot, isn't it?
So that takes it down to about 4%, roughly, give or take a few.
Oh, here we go, old mathematician. You'd be surprised, mate. It's nothing. It's nowhere near that. And this is probably not surprising, really. So when you take out the 38.2% dead teams, and by the way, anyone listening thinking, what is a dead team? A dead team, I believe, the definition of it is they haven't basically made any transfers for a certain period, and I don't know exactly what it is. I'll have to double check, but I think it's like 4 or 5 game weeks, no moves, equals dead team. Might even be a few. Anyway, 0.7% live teams, 0.7. So basically not owned by anybody. And agreed, he's not someone to bring into your team. It was a fruity pick. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, if they start playing him as centre forward though, Daz, you know, a few pods time, mate, we might start be talking about him a bit more seriously if he's banging in the goals and bringing in the 10 pointers.
I can't believe we're still talking about him. This has been like 2-3 minutes now.
Well, I'm going to have to try and back it up now. I literally put him in here as a loosey-goosey, but maybe. We'll see.
Right, let's move on to the last question then, before we get on to four-a-side. So the last one is from FPL Kaza, and they've asked, what's all the Kane love about? Spurs don't seem to be on form and don't seem to score many goals. So is Kane a must at 11 million?
It's a really hard one to answer this. I don't want to not be on that boat. I don't want to be, treading water, no lifeboat, struggling when people are getting the 20 points that Kane can get in a game. We've seen it before. The man can
a bit like me with Gundog at the moment then.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You're sinking at the moment, but although you're going to be happy that he's unlikely to play tomorrow and you've still got your captain. And by the way, congratulations for going Pope captain.
I had to see it through, didn't I?
I know you don't own Gundog, but mate, to be honest, you've trumped at the moment your Sterling alternative choice there because you only got 6 points. So fair play to you, mate. I'm happy that you did it, and I still think that they might get a clean sheet, so that could still work out quite well for you there. To be honest, Pope goes and gets 6-7 points tomorrow. He's on for 15-pointer, and it's only a few points behind Gundog, and he is unlikely to play. So you might be all right there. But yeah, I don't want to not be on the ship. I'm not sure I can do it. I'm all over Kane. I'm going to bring him in. If it doesn't work, move it around, don't you? It's those fixtures in game week 26. I'm a fixture play here for that one. That's not form. That's not the team. The team have looked garbage. I mean, any Spurs fans listening will probably say the same. They just not look great. All of a sudden, it's looked negative tactics from Jose. It's not looked fantastic. They did grind out the result against West Brom. So fair play to them there. And of course, Son and Kane back in the mix. But it's a fixture play for me. And I think they'll turn it around, particularly with Son and Kane back. It's Go Kane.
Yeah.
You, Daz, what are you thinking there, mate?
I think the big thing with Kane is he's a goal scorer, but not only that, he's providing the assists as well now this season. I mean, you look at the stats before he got injured, between game week 1, game week 19, 12 goals in that period, and amongst forwards, most shots and most chances created. So you just got 2 cracks at the whip for returns, haven't you, in terms of goals and assists. That partnership with Sonny is fantastic, as we've seen all season, and he's looking sharp. I think on his comeback against West Brom, he looked really good. We've seen it a few times when he's come back from injury, and you think he's not quite right there, but he does look sharp. I think, as you say, particularly those fixtures, it takes a brave man not to have him in their side.
Cool. I'm going to move us on to four-a-side, the classic part of the pod, which has been getting more and more controversial with every week that we've been playing it. There's been war words on Twitter this week between Darren and Craig, but perhaps we'll touch on that in a minute. For those who are perhaps new listeners, Four-a-side.
Where are you going, Dad?
Charity.
Is the washing machine man turned up? Sorry, Joe. What is he doing? He's wandering off.
I had to shut that door. It's bloody freezing in there.
Oh dear, the four-a-side comp though, bloody hell! This has caused me much distress over the last week. Getting all sorts of jibbings left, right, and centre about this. It's taken us 5 episodes, and I think we've only just realised now how to structure this to try and make it a very, useful competition for people to listen into, see what's going on. How are we going to pick? So we've got different players, me and Daz. Can't have the same player. Got to mix up from the community. Oh my lord. It has caused some stress, hasn't it, over the last week, Daz?
It has, mate. It has. And I thought I had you this week. I thought I had you on the old team value, didn't I? I thought you'd gone over budget, but
unbelievable.
After a steward's inquiry,
where that's come from.
I can confirm it was all above board.
You've thrown me out on Twitter there as well. You've literally... You've
you know what?
You've basically
my eyes lit up, didn't they?
To dry on Twitter.
My eyes lit up when I saw you were over budget, but
I couldn't believe it. You threw the tweet out there. Not even a little bit of banter in WhatsApp. You just threw it straight out onto the World Wide Web for everyone to see. Luckily, it hasn't got too many engagements. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. Reputation tarnished. He's basically, he said, stewards inquiry, he's in trouble.
Yeah,
he's shot his budget. No. When I selected the players, they were under 25 mil. They rose in price. What can I do about it? But yeah, no, you're right though, because I did bring in Richarlison as a replacement for DCL, and I know you're not happy about it, particularly after Tonio didn't play last night.
I think we better move on, mate. As I say, it was all above board in the end, so hands up there.
Allegations dropped.
Right.
So, any new listeners, what is Four-a-side about? Craig and Darren taking each other on each week, picking four-a-side teams. Loser's going to get £100 out and hand it over to Mind Charity. The guys are also going to be taking on the FPL Community every week, and it's going to be a different guest each week. And if the community manages to beat Craig and Daz, they're going to get an extra £50 out as well and hand that over to Mind. So
each as
cracking
well.
Cause that they're taking on. Craig, do you want to give us a very quick run through of the stand-ins before we introduce this week's guest?
Yeah. Off the bat, at the moment, midweek, got a few more players to play tomorrow, but Daz is taking the march at the top. He's trumped me. He's eaten into that 8-point deficit, and he's at 109 points versus my 106. Hopefully Gundog doesn't play, says the captain over here. The four-a-side has now become more important than my own team. But yeah, no, Gundog doesn't play, then I've got Foden. Hopefully he can do something and turn it around. But yeah, there's a 3-point gap there at the moment. Daz is doing well. Community, absolutely storming week from Utkarsh.
Zof's done a bit there.
He has done a bit, also known as Zofa666. He has brought it right back. I think there was about a 20-point deficit from top to bottom from me, who was top, to the community, about 21 points behind, and they're only now a few points behind. So it's 109 Daz, 106 me, and 103 the community.
Very tight. Done.
Very tight.
With us this week, we've got Lucy Hynett from the Twitter community, whose handle is at Lucy Hynett. I also know that Lucy is a Saints fan. And loves a good craft beer, as our Craigo does.
Up the Saints, four of us on one
very
pod.
Much something affair. So let's run the tape and listen to Lucy's team.
This is Lucy Hynett, at Lucy Hynett. Long-term FPL player, even longer-term, longer-suffering Southampton fan, as I'm sure these guys are, and I'm pleased to be taking on Craig and Darren for Game Week 25 in the Charity Four-a-side competition representing the community. As for an interesting fact that no one knows about me, I have a PhD in contemporary history, which took me 4 years to complete, and actually has no usable impact on my professional life as it stands now. But I'll move on swiftly and give you my picks for this week. And I think these probably, to a certain extent, pick themselves. I hope I've thrown in a couple of curveballs that might give me the edge against these guys, although I suspect my biggest differential might be one they've picked too, as Southampton fans. So, in goal, I've gone for Nick Pope. I think there were a couple of different options here, but I think probably A game against West Brom, even though they pulled off some heroics against Manchester United, is probably too good to turn down, even if they are lacking, or potentially lacking, Ben Mee. In defence, I have gone for a double game week player, as I have for the other picks. I've gone for Yannick Vestergaard. I don't think there are a huge number of clean sheets in these double game week fixtures, which is why I didn't go for a double game week goalkeeper. But I think Yannick's got a really good opportunity to potentially get a goal in one of these games, particularly the Leeds game, given their defensive frailties. And there's always a chance with a double game week player that you get that clean sheet you're not expecting. So I think he has a good opportunity of getting something unexpected here. And then for my midfield and forward options, I think the choice is quite clear here. I've gone for Leeds players. I've gone for Rafinha and Bamford. I think Bamford's also a really good captaincy pick this week because it's quite clear that Leeds prioritise attacking over defending, and I think we can expect to see quite a few goals. Rafinha's been the real highlight of recent weeks, looking like something of a steal from a transfer perspective, and I think both of them can have a really good impact on FPL this week. That little combination comes to 22.4 million, leaving me with plenty in the bank. And I don't think I need any more, really, to make sure that I'm beating the lads this week.
Okay, some good picks there from Lucy. As expected, a few double game weekers in there.
Yeah, I like that. Pope in the sticks as well. Not gone for the double game week player there. I mean, Meslier or McCarthy. I like that. West Brom at home.
Yep. Interesting.
So we're going to move on to looking at your teams, but we don't actually know them yet because you're yet to pick them. And that's because of the controversy over the last few weeks. So we're going to do the team picks live on the pod this week. Craig's going to go first. It's alternating picks. Craig, who's your first pick?
The suspense. Because of Daz talking up Ings on the pod, I'm like half inclined to try and just like block him out a little bit there. I know he's going to go there, but I'm going to be a bit different. I was thinking about Bamford, but I'm going to back my boy. I'm going to go with Rafinha, midfielder, in 5.3 million, first pick, done.
Yep, I like that pick. I think it's a bit of a tactical pick as well because it's left you with the two standout forwards, hasn't it? So yeah, I like that.
That's why I was thinking about that, Daz. Because if I go Bamford, it's easy. You're going to go Ings, aren't you? And then you get Rafinha. So I was thinking, I'm not having you ever Rafinha, mate. I'm going in.
So yeah,
it was tactical.
I've talked up my boy Danny Ings most of the pod, so I'm going to back myself here and go for Danny Ings first pick.
Whoa, okay. Gives me Bamford then. 6.8 mil, straight in the team. Leeds boys.
Wow, thought you'd have gone for a defender there, mate. Okay, I'm going to...
Oh, yeah, of course. What an idiot.
Oh, too late. We better carry on.
I'm absolutely shafting myself. What am I doing? I'm giving you the first pick of the old bar. What have we done?
On that note, I'm going to go for...
a couple of lagers in.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Dallas.
Fuck. What have I done? I could have got all Leeds out, couldn't I? I've just got it absolutely blown.
See, this is why I'm drinking tea. This is why I'm drinking a cup of tea. I'll get you on the beersies.
I'm drinking the craft lagers here. I'm done for the day. We're recording at 6 o'clock in the evening. You're about to start work. I've finished work. And the beers have done me in there. I would have definitely gone Dallas. Well, do you know what? Vestergaard, bring it home, baby. 4.7 million. Let's go.
How many have you had? You didn't fancy choosing your keeper then? His head's gone.
I've done it again. It's gone. It's the two lagers. I don't drink as much anymore. Lost my head.
Oh,
I'm going.
No. It's an absolute Tommy Tinker.
I'm going for Melier. Melier is my last.
Yeah. Brilliant. I was going to be Melier as well. I've absolutely screwed myself. To be fair, I'm not even too sure what to say. I reckon Old Forster's going to play, so I might have to go Pope. Oh, fuck it.
Where are you going?
McCarthy.
Going McCarthy, yeah.
4.5. Oh, I'm not too happy about my picks, but you never know how this can go, Dazza. You never know. I should have gone Melier. I should have brought in Dallas. Absolutely. I cannot believe that I've picked a midfielder first, and then I've gone for forward when you've already picked a forward, and then I've gone for a bloody defender. Well, I don't even know. Did I go for a defender? Oh, God, lost me head.
Yeah, you did. Very generous.
You picked Dallas. Yeah, gave you a couple of open windows, didn't I, Daz? Never mind. It's what it is. Yeah. Let's see how we go, mate.
Looking forward to it, mate.
Right.
Good luck for
I
game
think our work here is done. Absolutely.
Get on your
Best of
Leeds
luck.
assets and get on Danny Ings.
Yeah, good luck and thanks for listening.
Get on the beers. Thanks for listening. And if you're not already subscribed to us, make sure you hit the subscribe button on your podcast provider of choice as well. Thanks, everyone.
The end. Right.
Hold on a minute. Did I pick my last? Did I pick my midfielder?
What? Shut up. After all of that, giving me stick about blocking myself out. You did, didn't you?
I don't think I did.
What?
We've cocked this right up.
You've got a
Armstrong.
3 aside.
Armstrong, Joey, 5.5. Get him in.
No, you're going to have to go with 3. Oh, listen to it. Armstrong. Mate, you're going to have to play with 3. What were your 3? You had Dallas, Bamford, Meslier. You can't have Armstrong now.
Here he is. I get it.
I'm only messing. Well, that'll be the last time you give me stick. We're learning all the time. I've blocked myself out by going for the same position that you've already picked. Missing out on Dallas, and you're not even selecting your last player. Hey-yo.